We are literally made of opposite energies, and no one taught us how to handle that. Today I'm sitting down with my client Matt, and we are getting into male and female energy, because apparently the universe thought it would be hilarious to put two completely opposite energies together and just see what happens. But the good news is, once you understand how these energies actually work, everything starts to make a lot more sense, and your relationships will thank you for it. Let's get started. Are you confused with the way masculine and feminine energy is portrayed in the world today? What are you meant to be?
I am, Jules.
Are you? Okay.
I am, and I wonder, do you feel the same? Because I believe I've come from a reasonably good baseline knowledge of what masculine and feminine is. However, in a life that's saturated with so much information, there's so much more availability to opinions. I feel more confused than ever.
You mightn't be alone on that. Perhaps others are. Because I've seen a shift, particularly in female energy.
Okay.
Women today, and this is lovely for women, because it wasn't that long ago that women found it difficult to actually work and be accepted in the workplace, whereas that's completely changed now.
Yep.
And in actual fact, often in relationships, both couples need to work to have the financial background to be able to buy a house and do things. So in that sense, the men have now needed the women to work to provide the extra income.
In this modern world especially.
Yes. But for me, sometimes I see that women have actually taken that masculine energy, often in a physical sense with exercise and bodybuilding in the gym, and they've made that feminine energy very strong and in some cases quite masculine. Now, that's not a judgment. And we've also seen men go the other way as well and become softer and more emotional, or being the at-home parent. So there's all these changes going on everywhere. I had a bit of an overarching thought about it, and that is quite a spiritual one. Because if you were to look at the concept of one consciousness, then all of our energies are blending together. And so instead of it being quite a separate masculine and feminine, we're starting to see a blending of energies. And you can take that out even further with the fact that the blending of energies now is also multicultural relationships. Also different gender relationships. Different gender within one physical body.
Yes.
And so it's all just sifting and changing, and I can understand if that's a little bit hard to keep up with, or if you have been brought up with some solid opinions about how it should look.
Oh, I'm so glad you went there, because my mind straight away, even from that overview, which is a brilliant one, thank you so much, great coverage, lots to dive into, is that the past, present, future of this energy, where it's been, where it's at, and more importantly, where it's going.
Where it will go, for yes.
Is really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
To look ahead, you need to look back. And one thing you touched on was that, in a roundabout way, traditional structures with that energy, what feminine is or was typically, and what masculine is. So if we were to go right back to that as a baseline, because what is feminine and masculine energy to a man? What is masculine energy? How does it show up to a woman? What is feminine energy? And then the crossover, how are they supposed to show up? What's the dynamic? If we go back to a baseline of that, how would you describe it?
The first thing I want to say about that is allow for change. I was just listening to you then about the past and how we're meant to be now, etc., and the world's changing so fast. And guys, I've lived a long time on this planet to see all these changes, And I realised you have to roll with the changes. You can't say stuck.
This is beautiful. And let's take the view, Jules, that everyone here agrees and says, I'm along for the ride.
Okay.
Open mind, open book.
Yeah.
Let's write a chapter.
Yes.
But we still have to work within the traditional models and matrix of what feminine masculine is.
Yes.
So can we
Yes.
start there and build a base?
Yes. Actually, can I begin with the fact that everybody has masculine and
Of course they do.
energy within?
Yeah, and this is exactly, I'll take a little bit of a personal line here. I'm more confused than ever with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think actually setting some sort of tone baseline, just so we're knowing, just so we're playing cricket, playing the same game, because we're going to go everywhere today, is really great to understand. What is it typically?
What is masculine energy typically? Okay. I can give you my own
We're all one.
opinion.
Well done.
I have to say, I like strong masculine energy. A big hug from a strong man makes me feel like I want to surrender. I'm giving you my own personal opinion.
Now we're getting somewhere.
That's what I like. I do like a man who is confident
Good.
and guides, but not controls. There's a difference. Because I think when a man guides, they're leading the both of you in the one direction. They're not controlling you or coercing you. It is for the greater good of the coupling or the pairing.
Okay.
And that doesn't have to mean a sexual relationship. That can be a mother-son. My older son is now running the family, and I had to surrender that to him, but he's doing a really good job of it. So he stepped up from being a young man into a man that organises everything within the family.
Okay.
And I was recently on a family holiday where I just let him lead, even if it was a mistake. I just sat there thinking, this is really nice. I'm not in control here, but I'm letting go of the control.
Okay.
And it was nice to see him in that space.
And if we were to touch on that for a moment, that the boy becomes the man and has to lead and grow and be the protector, and there's a sense of strength and direction and leadership there. So there's a natural role, if you will, for the masculine energy to evolve and progress in that way. That's what you're speaking to there. And what I've learned, as I'm sure many of us have, is that masculine is exactly that. It leads from the front, it protects, it's the hunter, it's the gatherer, it's all those sorts of things. And I asked Jules when I came here today, Jules, do we look to nature for the answer? Because
Interesting.
nature is a wonderful default. It's a baseline. It doesn't actually try to be anything. It always was, is, and probably will be.
And just on that, there are women who are single parents who have to step into that masculine role and protect
It's such a good...
and hunt and provide for their children and protect their children. So this is where I say we had access to both masculine and feminine energy in a particular context of when it's needed.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
So feminine for me on the same regard is exactly that. It's the mothering, it's the nurturing, it's the nesting. It's more loving in a way that it's motherly, it's mother nature, it's more emotional, it's that feminine energy. And to your point before, when feminine energy shows up in my life, I feel like I can surrender in a different way. I feel loved, I feel protected, seen, safe, and heard. Once again, not even talking about the sexual side of things, just the feminine energy and presence.
Can we talk about the sexual side?
We're gonna talk. We're gonna asking me if we could talk about the sexual side. Of course, we're gonna talk about the sexual side.
All right, me first.
Oh, she just wants to dive straight here.
Okay.
So, absolutely. Do we want to dive straight into that?
Yes, because it's surface to me. Because
I'm building a baseline here, guys.
I grew up as a middle distance athlete and I was very good. I was really the top in my nation. And so I had to run with men because I was way too faster than the other women. And so I grew up in a very masculine environment as the only female running with all the men. I had that very strong masculine energy. And that's how I married. And I actually was probably more dominant in my marriage than I probably should have been. That marriage ended. It was a good marriage and it went a long time, but it ended. And then someone else came along who had a very strong, dominant, masculine energy. And all of a sudden I found myself buying pretty handbags and dresses and high heels. And the energy this man had and his confidence and his sexual confidence melted me. And I just slid back into this feminine energy and I liked it.
Yeah, I see where this
I actually liked me more.
Yeah.
And it was actually fabulous to have him lead sexually. And he was a very creative man.
Okay.
So I never knew what was going to happen next. But it changed me.
Oh, wow.
Terrified me first. First of all, it terrified me.
Okay.
Because all my controls of all my ways of doing things by the book just completely got shaken out of me. And I just knew I had to surrender to this.
This is fascinating.
But it was scary to do it. But it changed me.
There you go. And once again, because we're really doing a dance between models and matrix and what we've learned, archetype structures, expectations, all those sorts of things. And this is beautiful because we're really still building through understanding this stuff at a core level. So I've learned there from you that the dynamic interplay between masculine and feminine allowed you to show up in different ways.
It's natural. I see a lot on YouTube and social media, people talking about you have to balance your masculine energy and you have to balance your feminine energy.
Correct.
But the chemistry I had with this man naturally did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything I had to do. And this is why I say in a lot of the podcasts that we share information together, most things happen naturally.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nature doesn't struggle through the seasons. It just surrenders to the seasons.
What a beautiful notion to really connect with, because it's just a natural way.
It's a natural way. So that we can uncomplicate things here. Now, I also want to say the opposite of this is if a man is hurt in some way, some tragedy could have happened. It could be a divorce or his career has collapsed or his business has collapsed, and it's extremely painful. That's not a time to be in masculine energy. That's a time to be in feminine energy and to feel what's going on. And so that's the time to be in that energy. I was in the sauna the other day and there was a mother in there talking about her 5-year-old son. And what he does, he comes to her and he says, "Mummy, this is how I'm feeling right now." And she sits and she listens to him and he shares with her how he's feeling. But more importantly, he shows her in his body where he's feeling, whether it's his throat or his belly or his chest. He shows her where he's connecting with that energy. And she goes into feminine energy and just listens to him. And I thought, what a wonderful thing to teach all children now, to feel your feelings. And in my mind, and you know I'm really into the awakening process.
Yep.
And we're talking about the new earth coming in 5D consciousness. There it is.
Yeah.
Because the way to move into 5D consciousness is to feel your feelings and clean up your programming, release your grudges, release all these pains from the past, because often these grudges are trapped in place because we don't feel them at the time. Emotions can come and go. So here are these children coming through learning this technique that it's okay to feel your feelings in the moment. And if you're in a safe environment where you can actually say, well, this is what I'm feeling, this is where I'm feeling it,
Yep.
and someone just bears witness to that and helps you to not feel quite so lonely while you're going through that, then that's going to help males and females to balance their energy in the generations coming through.
Because in the past, males they've probably learned through models and parents and the general male energy that harden up,
Right.
Go to the doctor, you don't really talk about your feelings.
Just get on with it.
Just be a bloke, right? And that's not a disrespect to males, because I am one. So I get it. But I'm also quite different to the typical male. Haven't really had a father figure my entire life, brought up pretty much by a single mum in a sense, because a lot of her partners in a very sad way had passed away along the journey and things like that. So she must have balanced some energy. However, to bring it full circle back to myself, I wouldn't consider myself a typical male in the typical bloke word of the sense, with full respect to that. And I'd like to go through that, because you're talking about a young boy with a mum that's connected to feelings. I know where it is at a young age, and being able to share at such a deep level, connected to feelings, being a male, being able to talk about it in the presence of a female, all the things that generally males, generally speaking, have grown up with, wouldn't be able to do. Now that's really beautiful. So what's changing? What shapes males? Is it what's come before? Is it the fact that we've got this body and we have to be male? What is it about the masculine energy?
There could be many factors, and we're just bantering a few of them. I think one of them is possibly the fact that there's been so many divorces and children are predominant in, not always, but often children spend more time with their mother. So I think the split in the family could have changed the dynamic of what the masculine looks like. That's number one. The second one is information. We've got access to a lot more information, a lot more choice, and women have changed a lot.
Yes.
Because women have a lot more rights today. And I do think in the school system there are social workers and counsellors. So I do think there is a lot of support, maybe not enough, but a lot of support coming through.
Can always be more.
I want to share again another sauna chat. This time I was sitting in a sauna where the light was actually out. So I was sitting in a dark pocket in the sauna. You could hardly see me. And in came two young men. They might have been about 22. And they sat next to each other and they were having a discussion about their feelings. I think they were a bit oblivious that I was there. And one was saying, I was deeply hurt this week. So I drove into a McDonald's store and I binged on a burger. And as I went to drive out, I realised I was still feeling terrible and I needed to eat some more. So then I put into Hungry Jack's and I bought another burger. And the other guy went, oh, you were eating your feelings. And this guy, I just couldn't help it. I just had to eat. And I was just sitting there listening to these men happily sharing with each other about their feelings. And it was like they were in female energy. And I was just sitting quietly in the corner chuckling because that week had been a full moon week. And I was thinking, added to this, it's a full moon week. And any wonder your emotions were right at surface, which is what a lot of women experience who obviously have cycles, their menstrual cycle sort of, a lot of women, it lines up with the moon and the feelings and, it gets overwhelming and the feelings come out, as you probably may have experienced if you have a female in your life. Yeah.
Okay. I find it very, very interesting because I myself am on social media and Instagram and all sorts of things that we're all on, and I'm noticing collectively, globally, the collective consciousness becoming more aware and more woke. And that certainly includes, and it's beautiful to watch, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be a bit odd, be yourself. In fact, to be unique is really welcome rather than being ostracized.
Oh, the world would be totally boring if we were all the same.
Correct. But I think it's never been a more accepting time to be yourself. And for females, it's quote unquote normal to talk about your feelings amongst the ladies, all that kind of thing, which is wonderful. And that's something the males need to adopt a lot more of. But I'm seeing a lot more of it being adopted. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And for someone that's I would consider myself a bit more connected, a bit more aware to my thoughts, my feelings, and on that journey, it's wonderful to see males doing the same. Because I think, talking about energy, and there is a crossover, males softening in the right way at the right time is so important.
And I think also this could go for both genders, to understand that you do have both of these energies and to start to experiment with them. But if you get too polarized in one direction, then that's not really healthy either, because a woman who becomes too soft and too giving will burn out and feel like perhaps they're not being looked after.
Yeah.
So they do need to be able to find the strength to speak up for their rights or what they need or their desires, so to speak. And similarly, the masculine who's domineering, dare I say even violent, well, that's terrifying to other people or other feminines. And so there is this balancing of the energy. It reminds me of a story of a client years ago. He came to me for coaching for anger management issues, and they were very serious ones. He had a court case coming up. And so we worked for quite some time on his anger management issues. It was working because he went to a football game with his 4-year-old son, and at the football game, he got into a verbal fight with one of the other spectators, a very loud fight, almost coming to fisticuffs. And then he heard this strange sound, and he looked down and his son was cowering and had hidden under the seat.
Oh, okay.
And that masculine pushing energy was too much. And in that moment, he could see how his anger was hurting the people that he loved. And he dropped it. He literally just dropped it.
Got rock.
And he went home to his wife and he said, "I'm sorry. You deserve a break from me. Go out with your girlfriends on Friday night. I'll look after our child." He did all the dishes. He put the child to bed. He did a load of washing. He cleaned the house. He made it lovely for her to step into her energy. And when she came home, she went, "Where's my husband and who are you?"
What have you done with my man? Who are you?
The reason I love that story
Beautiful
is
story.
because no matter what patterns you think you have in you or what programming from your past, you as an adult are a choice. And he chose to drop it, to stop it.
So this is great. The modern world, ultra busy, hyper, dense with information, so much to navigate. In relationships today, Jules, what's your experience on how the masculine and feminine energy interplay as it's evolving and changing so much? How do people show up with a balanced energy? How do they interact? How do they date? How do they navigate their own energy if they're a female or if they're masculine?
I think the first answer is to be true to who you are and not pretend to be something you're not, because that's exhausting.
Going back to the nature part, right?
Yeah, that's exhausting, and that can cause problems later
Yeah.
if you're not who you are. So show up with who you are. Although I was having dinner with a girlfriend at her house one night, and someone who she'd wanted to date rang her and said, "I'm coming over." And I said, "Well, I'll leave." And she said, "Okay." I said, "Well, what are you going to wear?" She said, "My dressing gown." I said, "You're not going to wear your dressing gown on a first date." She said, "Well, this is me. I love my dressing gown." And I really had to.
On the first date?
Yeah, she said, "I want to be me." And I said, "Go find some nice clothes." I really had to.
Would you wear your dressing gown on a first date?
That's it. Be yourself, but put in a bit of effort.
Okay.
And don't overdo it either. Think of things in a subtle way. Subtlety to me is a touch. "Oh, lovely to see you." It's a gentle compliment.
This is
Compliment something.
This is great to navigate these things, because do I open the door these days? Like, I want to get into some nitty gritty, because we're on, and not just dates, it can even be in friendships. I'm a man or I'm a woman and I want to show up. And because what I'm hearing is realize where you're at in terms of your dynamic, your own balance of masculine and feminine. It could be from your past, what you've learnt along the way, where you're at, your views on it, and then work with the real honest baseline of where you're at with those things. Because if you don't do that and don't honor the truth, you can't embody it to show up in the right way or to tweak what you need to. Because you might be a male and supplicating by opening every door and answering every text and being way over the top. And the woman is like, you're not in your masculine.
Absolutely true.
So
Yeah.
these are the type of examples and I think takeaways that are really helpful as well. So even within that, it's a very personal journey because it's a little bit of self-inquiry to say, where am I at? Well, these are the challenges that people have out there.
And as a woman who's evolving in the space of women having a lot of rights today, I do like a man opening the door for me, but because I'm fairly independent, I sometimes will step forward to open the door, and as I'm opening the door, I'm thinking, oh, I shouldn't have opened the door. Oops, better slip back into my feminine energy. I'll wait for my chair to be pulled outside. Yes. I think the thing here is to relax with it and not, I don't want you sitting down going, oh, I didn't open the door. What will she be thinking? Because then you're not present to looking at her or asking her a really interesting question.
100% agree. There's so many really beautiful male role models out there. And of course, natural proclivity, I default to the male, in case you hadn't noticed I am one. So I do tend to talk from that, but I've got lots of views and embrace and the female energy and of course a lot to learn. But through my own navigation of masculine energy, it's been a eyes wide open type of scenario. I've just taken the world in and learnt along the way. I've learned how to step into more masculine. Remember, I'm a bloke that never really had a dad. I had to learn along the way. I didn't really have a role model. I've had some, and I do have some incredible male role models and friends and things like that. So, but I'll tell you what, it's been an ongoing space to navigate.
I do think males and females do balance each other out. And when I talk males and females, I'm talking as an energy, because generally speaking, in a gay situation, one will be more feminine and the other will be more masculine. So let's just talk of it's energy. And then you might have a person who's got male and female energy as a single gender. That's certainly something that's happening today as well. And then you've got people who start out as one gender but want to be another gender. So that's part of what I mean by the blending. We all need to accept that there are differences now in how masculine and feminine energy shows up in the world and in a person.
One of the most beautiful things that I see is the growth in people, including myself. And when I see mates of mine that evolve and grow more into being a touch softer, touch more connected, more accepting, and you notice it in the way that they answer question or they'll comment on something that's just a little more thoughtful, a little out of their quote unquote box that they would be in, their masculine box. It's amazing.
And I love seeing men who are friends who greet each other with a hug.
Yeah.
Because a male masculine hug is really nice. Even if you're a masculine receiving a masculine's hug, it's a nice energy.
So I've got a question for you.
Can't wait.
Is masculine at its best version even more in touch with its feminine? So it's able to be big and strong, but also to be really soft and supple.
Yes, that's what I would call balance.
There we go.
Because the balance is to understand that you have masculine and feminine energy within you and to access the right dose of that energy in a particular situation. So you step up or you step back.
So I've dated a lot over the time, Jules, and I really do love a very feminine lady that's really deeply in her feminine energy. Also, at the same time, I really have found that I love and respect a woman that's also strong and knows what she's doing and will book dinner and doesn't always just wait around and expect me to do every single little thing, because there's a lot of notions out there that male needs to do everything. You think about everything, you lead for everything, you pay for everything, you just do absolutely everything. And as a bloke, that can be quite a lot.
Yes.
Once again, my own experience. So I like a balance, even with the feminine.
So let's give that a dual perspective here,
Mm.
because I'm hearing you and I agree with you.
Mm.
Absolutely. But on the flip of that, in a lot of relationships, the feminine is expected to do a lot as well.
100%.
The washing, the cooking, the cleaning, the managing the children, the homework, etc. And they can get very overwhelmed and feel that's a lot as well.
Yes.
And in relationship coaching, that fundamental thing where one feels they're carrying the load for the other can really get in the way of love flowing in a relationship. And that is just a fundamental earthly, call it admin of your life process. And I think couples need to discuss this rather than huff about it. And it is about sharing the load as well, because running our lives does have a bit of a load with everything that has to take place.
So let's go deeper into that. Is that merely constant and ongoing discussion?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, because when life gets busy, one can pull back in a particular area and the other needs to step up. So it does need to flex and grip, or get support. Pay for something. It might pay for someone to cook food for you. A friend of mine was really overwhelmed. Her children were very good at basketball and they were quite high up. So there was a lot of after school basketball and she didn't have time to cook meals because she worked full time.
Yep.
And she was judging herself because she was always buying takeaway.
Reminds me of my childhood.
Beating herself up. And I said to her, you and your husband are both working full time.
Yeah.
Pay for someone to cook you some home-cooked meals. So you take all that stress and pressure out and all that self-judgment, which gets in the way of relationships. She found a retired lady who liked to cook, and that lady would come into her home and do all this home cooking lovingly. And so the children would come home with their mother after the basketball game's finished and the food would be there.
Yeah, gosh.
The cleaning wasn't the priority. The food was the priority.
Yeah, nice. And that's the life admin that how you put it before. That's the tools of the trade, the techniques, the stuff to put in to be able to make it work and be able to focus on the important stuff. Because that is, we can't just expect, we can't just default. There's an awareness there,
Yes.
constantly asking, and even just those little random acts of kindness. Like you said, that gentleman that came back and said, you need some time away from me, I'll look after our child, and just did all those bits and pieces. He had a revelation, a moment of awareness, and that changed his path. And if we had that awareness and check in, we can actually say, where am I at with all this? Hold on, how am I showing up with this? I actually never do any of the jobs. Wow, I'm a bloke that just defaults to the couch and I'm out there getting the bread. Like, we can also do...
Maybe you could use that breading to pay someone to do that thing too, because once again, I had another client who was constantly telling me the fight she would have with her husband about mowing the lawn. And he earned so much money, and I just said to her,
low-hanging fruit, go sort it out.
get a local kid to come around and mow lawns, pay cash, make them a happy teenager, and take that pressure out of the household that you're in.
Oh, wow.
So some of these things had practical solutions if you get your creativity going to solve and the critic cannot solve the problem. The creative solves the problem. So if you're constantly criticizing, you're not in a solution-focused mindset. You want to be in a creative mindset to solve the issue.
That's awesome. So we're progressing now. We've gone from a bit of baseline stuff, understanding what these energies are, into a bit of relationship stuff, into home. We've got some admin sorted. That's great.
Hey.
From sauce in the kitchen to saucy stuff in the bedroom.
Because, let's face it, sex is really creative. Most of the sex happens in the mind. It's what's going on in the mind, right? So the mind is very creative. And so the mind is going to create all sorts of, should we call them baskets, of sexual preferences.
Yep.
So yes, this could go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess just looking at it at a very top level is men, they lead, they do their thing, and then should women supplicate, should men always lead from the front? And it's not about getting into how we do it, right? I'm not talking necessarily about that. That's a whole different style of podcast. But it's more around just maybe exploring and breaking down some of the notions of how we think about sexual energy from masculine and feminine, because it doesn't always have to be blokes just knocking the door down and, and women sort of mirroring what that role could be. I think there's a lot more that can be explored in the mind. And as you said, it's beautiful. It can be so different. It can be so much, males can be so much more sensual, more available, more emotionally, all that sort of stuff. This is a different way to think about it and explore it.
Well, I think of the energy of flirtation to me is the best foreplay. So it is the single word text. It is the picture of you putting a lipstick on, not a whole nude photo, just or a photo of your back in the shower, or a photo of the stiletto shoe. It's the subtle little things, or it's the sexy lace of your knickers just on the side. That's just that little part of that for a photo. So that's what I think creates the feeling that you can have sex all day, because you're tantalizing all day. So you could be in the middle of a boring meeting and you get this little picture of a glimpse of lingerie and you're like, oh, I'm awake now.
You're so funny. For me, it's like I see a UFC clip and I'm joking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm being silly.
You need some more ideas?
I'm being very blokey. But you're right.
Or it's a little word that goes mint. And you're like, what's mint mean? Does it mean a mint chocolate? Does it mean mint in a
Question mark.
in a gin and tonic after work? What is mint? Is it green? What is it? And that's meant to trigger the creativity. So I'm fortunate enough to have experienced a lover who had this down pat and could maintain it for a long time. And it's subtle. So it's just little snippets of things that I call it sexual banter, that just tantalize. And so what then happens is, it's not like, oh, it's 10 o'clock at night, we should go to bed and have sex. It's been happening all day, if that makes sense.
That's wonderful.
And then it's cooking the meal for that person while you're in that state of being. And it's driving home from work, like on what the word mint means, and coming home and discovering there's a block of mint chocolate by the bed or something, or it's a bath.
Maybe it's for it's an after dinner mint, if you know.
Well, whatever you want it to mean, but it's meant to be creative. But that word could be feather or lace or denim, or it could be anything, but it creates sexual play.
This is really beautiful because I guess it's just understanding that there's a lot more to the sexual energy from both sides.
Yes.
Particularly long-term in relationships.
Because
they'll fuel that fire and keep having sex.
And remember, it's mostly in the mind.
Correct.
And so if you are bantering about it, having fun with it, it keeps it alive. It keeps that attraction alive and that interest there. And then you actually, part of it is noticing the little things. It's the little touches you'll bear it past, or it's a little smack on the bum as you walk down the hallway, or you're brushing your teeth and your partner interrupts you with a kiss on the cheek and you're like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth, but you love it. You love the interruption because they're thinking of you.
Yeah.
So it's about being creative with little things. I think that helps male and female energy, because within that little thing, you're getting a different version of things. You're getting his version and her version, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that the sexiest thing ever is to be seen, to feel safe.
And to feel wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think in a lot of long-term relationships where that sexual play stops happening, suddenly you don't feel seen. And I think that can put distance in a relationship. So it's about being creative and having a bit of play. And it's not just date night, it's secret dates. It's surprise dates. It's dates where you're completely out of control as well.
So good.
Yeah?
This one's got so much more good stuff on the way in this section.
Yes.
So really good deep dive into the masculine and feminine energy in a world that is so fast paced, so much evolving, where that space becomes a lot more confusing. I feel like I'm a lot more connected to it. I hope that you do as well. And thanks, Jules.
Pleasure.
So good to deep dive into it.
So maybe feel your way through it. Get a bit more in touch with feeling and I guess your desires, and be a little creative and subtle in your creativity. Have a little play with some little things.
And I've definitely discovered more around embracing the balance of our energy between masculine and feminine, understanding we do have both, all of us, and where is it at? What have we grown up with? What's our views on it now? What are some of the things that we can do to be more masculine, more feminine in the right way at the right time? I think was a huge takeaway, really beautiful thing to understand further.
Excellent. And if today's conversation got you thinking, good, that's the point. For more support, check out my book links and free chat in the description below, because honestly, this stuff is too important to figure out alone. And if you got any value from this, hit subscribe and like the video. It helps more than you know, and it tells the universe you're ready for more. See you in the next one.